Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we are going to continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 6, Chapter 4. We have to read text 9 today. Does anyone know where we are right now? What are we reading?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, we were reading about how Soma is pointing out to Prachitas who just came out of the sea after doing all the austerities to not to burn down the trees. After reading the story from the last chapter about the Jamil, the glories of chanting, now he's highlighting on that when you are a devotee, you should also be a protector, and that you should be thinking yourself lower than a straw. While preaching, you should also be more tolerant than a tree and more humble than a grass. So he's reminding them about, please, you have to remember to protect the earth, also work for the citizens, and and also Sukdev Goswami has, Lord Chaitanya has recommended the same. And learning more about Soma God, that his moonshine is the thing that helps with the vegetation. And he's the king of the moon, and he is his duty is to take care of the vegetation and agriculture on earth, and even otherwise. And the moonshine, we also heard about Krishna says, I am the light of the moon. So it's,
that's right.
yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, thank you so much.
Are we reading the Haṁsa-guhya prayers by Dakṣa? I think we started with that, right?
Yeah, the chapter name is that. We have not yet come to that part. Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Right now we are
also,
at the part where the moon god is speaking to the Prachetas. Yes.
Yeah, and there was a word also which was told, Vimanyavaha. A devotee is very forgiving. Sadhavaha. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
The ornaments of a devotee. Very
Ornaments
forgiving,
of a devotee.
tolerant,
Yes.
tolerant, forgiving. Yes, thank you.
So more than chanting, actually, when we chant, we are already in that position. When we are doing our pure chanting, that time we are in that position of being not being disturbed. Sometimes we are like sitting down alone and doing it, and then suddenly if I hear a footstep, I'm like disturbed. That disturbs me. So you can really come to know what disturbs you. So we should try to bring back ourselves in that position, I feel, where we don't feel disturbed even otherwise. So that is why pure chanting really helps us to understand how we can really be more focused even while we are chanting, not in that meditative mode, but rather we are just going around being in that position of just chanting, not feeling disturbed by anything. It will help us to stay humble, stay tolerant, and more
That's
forgiving, not realizing anything that is disturbing us.
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
The
So
more we
pure
chant,
chanting is more important. That will help us to chant even otherwise. So that is why even if we are doing it with offenses, when we are doing our pure chanting, we will come to that mode of, okay, now I'm sitting down and chanting. And then that time when we are chanting without any disturbance, that will help us to grow to chant offenselessly. So we have to, focus more on pure chanting.
Thank you. Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
Thank
Hare
you so
Krishna.
much.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you. Did anyone else want to say anything? Okay, so let's begin for today. Annam charanam achara.
Annam charanam achara.
Hi apada padacharina.
Hi
Apada
padacharina.
padacharina.
Ahasta hasta yuktanam.
Ahasta hasta yuktana.
Dvipadam cha chatushpadaha.
Dvipadam cha chatuspadaha.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. By nature's arrangement, fruits and flowers are considered the food of insects and birds. Grass and other legless living entities are meant to be the food of four-legged animals like cows and buffalo. Animals that cannot use their front legs as hands are meant to be the food of animals like tigers, which have claws. And four-legged animals like deer and goats, as well as food grains, are meant to be the food of human beings. By nature's law or the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one kind of living entity is eatable by other living entities. As mentioned here in Vipadam, Chatushpada, the four-legged animals, Chatushpada, as well as food grains are eatables for human beings, Dvipadam. These four-legged animals are those such as deer and goats, not cows, which are meant to be protected. Generally, the men of the higher classes of society, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, do not eat meat. Sometimes Kshatriyas go to the forest to kill animals like deer because they have to learn the art of killing, and sometimes they eat the animals also. Shudras too eat animals such as goats. Cows, however, are never meant to be killed or eaten by human beings. In every Shastra, cow killing is vehemently condemned. Indeed, one who kills a cow must suffer for as many years as there are hairs on the body of a cow. Manu Samhita says, Pravriti Esha Bhutanam Nivritis tu Mahaphala. We have many tendencies in this material world, but in human life, one is meant to learn how to curb those tendencies. So, the reason that we are said no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex. Why have we said this no's? Why? Because we have a tendency to do them. That's why the Shastras are saying, don't do it. If we didn't have a tendency, the Shastras wouldn't say that. But we have this tendency. So we have to regulate it. So now we may wonder now how come suddenly Bhagavatam is saying, oh, deer can be eaten. What does it mean? But we have to understand that those in the mode of goodness, they don't eat animals, they eat food grains. But someone may have that tendency that they want to eat the animal. So then they eat not cows, but some lower animal like a deer or goat. And that also, this animal has to be sacrificed on a particular day of the month, not going to buy ready-made in supermarket, but one has to personally chant the mantras and kill the animal. And then the prayers are said that as I'm killing you in this life, next life you can kill me. So there's a lot of restrictions there because human life is meant for us to upraise our consciousness. So that's why, so Prabhupada is mentioning here that the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas don't eat meat, but Kshatriya sometimes, because they have to practice. So sometimes they may eat. But the Shudras sometimes may eat, but not cows. If one eats a cow, one has to suffer for as many years as there are hairs on the body of a cow. That's a lot of hair. So that's many years. Manu Samhita says, this is what Manu Samhita is saying, that the tendency is there, that we have to stop. Those who desire to eat meat may satisfy the demands of their tongues by eating lower animals, but they should never kill cows, who are actually accepted as the mothers of human society because they supply milk. The Shastra especially recommends Shriko Rakshya. The Vaishya section of humanity should arrange for the food of the entire society through agricultural activities and should give full protection to the cows, which are the most useful animals because they supply milk to human society. We read earlier cantos of Bhagavatam where Prabhupada is writing that milk is so important to develop our finer brain tissues so that we can understand spiritual knowledge, so that we can understand we are not the body, we are spirit, soul. And so that's why cows have to be protected, they have to be loved. And when a cow is loved, she automatically gives more and more milk. So, but we see that, instead of protecting cows, we are doing the opposite. But now there are more and more people becoming aware. More people are taking up this cause of cow protection. Yuyam cha pitran vadishtam.
Patrana Vadishta
Deva devena chanaga.
Deva Devena Jana
Prajāsargāya hi katham.
Prajāsargāya hi katham
Vrikshan nirdagdum arhatam.
Dikshan Tattum Arhata.
O pure-hearted ones, your father Prachina Barhi and the Supreme Personality of Godhead have ordered you to generate population. Therefore, how can you burn to ashes these trees and herbs which are needed for the maintenance of your subjects and descendants? So who is speaking to who?
Soma to Prachetas.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Atish Thata Satam Margam.
Tishtata Satam Margam.
Kopam Yachata Deepitam.
Kopam Yachata Deepitam.
Pitra Pita Mahenapi.
Pitra Pita Mahenapi.
Jushtam Va Prapita Mahe.
Jushtam Va Prapita Mahe.
The path of goodness traversed by your father, grandfather, and great-grandfathers is that of maintaining the subjects, prajas, including the men, animals, and trees. That is the path you should follow. Unnecessary anger is contrary to your duty. Therefore, I request you to control your anger. Here the words Pitra Pita Mahenapi Justam va Prapita Mahe depict an honest royal family consisting of the kings, their father, their grandfather, and their great-grandfathers. Such a royal family has a prestigious position because it maintains the citizens or prajas. The word praja refers to one who has taken birth within the jurisdiction of the government. The exalted royal families were conscious that all living beings, whether human, animal, or lower than animal, should be given protection. So praja means citizen who is born in that particular land. And it's not only the human beings. We think it's only the human beings. No, but all the living entities that are there, they are the citizens, they are the praja. They could be animals or trees, plants, insects, fish, all living beings need to be protected. The modern democratic system cannot be exalted in this way because the leaders elected strive only for power and have no sense of responsibility. In a monarchy, a king with prestigious position follows the deeds of his forefathers. Thus, Soma, the king of the moon, here reminds the Prachetas about the glories of their father, grandfather, and great-grandfathers. So in the leadership position, one has responsibility. One has a tendency to misuse the leadership position, but actually it is a matter of great responsibility. Tokanam Pitarau Bandhu.
Tokanam pitaro
Pitaro
bandhu.
bandhu.
Drisha Pakshma Striyapati.
Rishya
Pakshma
Striyapati.
Striyapati.
Pati Prajanam Bhikshunam.
Pati
Pati Prajanam
Bhikshunam.
Bhikshunam.
Grahi Agyanam Buddha Surit.
Grihi Ajnanam Buddha
Buddha
Surit.
Surit.
As the father and mother are the friends and maintainers of their children, as the eyelid is the protector of the eye, as the husband is the maintainer and protector of a woman, as the householder is the maintainer and protector of beggars, and as the learned is the friend of the ignorant, so the king is the protector and giver of life to all his subjects. The trees are also subjects of the king. Therefore, they should be given protection. By the supreme will of the personality of Godhead, there are various protectors and maintainers for helpless living entities. Trees are also considered prajas, subjects of the king, and therefore the duty of the monarch is to protect even the trees, not to speak of others. Did anyone think of that? That even the trees need to be protected by the government, by the
No,
leader.
no, we didn't know
So we
that.
can see
It's nice to
at
know.
Bhagavatam, I'm sorry,
It's nice to know.
nice to know, right? Yeah, we never
Yes,
thought of
yes, yes.
it. So, but with Bhagavatam, we can see actually what is the real way of living, you know? So the king is duty bound to protect the living entities in his kingdom. Thus, although the parents are directly responsible for the protection and maintenance of their children, the duty of the king is to see that all parents do their duty properly. So that's why the king used to be called the representative of God, because he was maintaining everyone. The righteous kings, Raja Rishis, they were called. Similarly, the king is also responsible for overseeing other protectors mentioned in this verse. It may also be noted that the beggars who should be maintained by the householders are not professional beggars, but sannyasis and brahmanas to whom the householders should supply food and clothing. So here Prabhupada is pointing out not that somebody becomes a professional beggar out of laziness or some other agenda, you know, but real, like sannyasis and brahmanas, because they don't have time to work, because they are engaged in studying scriptures and teaching scriptures, teaching us about the value of human life. And so they should be maintained by the householders. But yeah, of course, there may be some people who really can't take care of themselves. Yeah, then it becomes our duty to take care of them, you know, but not to encourage. That's what Prabhupada is trying to say. That not encouraging people to become beggars, but of course, if somebody is really disadvantaged, then yeah, we need to help them. Antar deheshu bhutanam.
Antardehishu Bhutanam.
Bhutanam.
Atmaste harir ishvara.
Atmaste
Namaste
Ishvara.
Ishvara.
Sarvam tad deshnyam ikshadvam.
Sarvam
Tadishnyam Ikshadvam.
Evam vastoshito hi asam.
Evam
Evam Vastu
Vastu
Shito Hi
Asau.
Asau.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated as the Supersoul within the cores of the hearts of all living entities, whether moving or non-moving, including men, birds, animal, trees, and indeed all living entities. Therefore, you should consider every body a residence or temple of the Lord. By such vision, you will satisfy the Lord. You should not angrily kill these living entities in the form of trees, in the forms of trees. As stated in Bhagavad Gita and confirmed by all the Vedic scriptures, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam, Hridesha Arjuna Tishtati. The Supersoul is situated within everyone's heart. So the Supersoul is there in the heart of the human beings. So is the Supersoul there in the heart of the trees?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so here the Som God is saying that you should look at everyone's body as a temple. Why?
Because the super soul is residing in every.
That's right. Yes. Yes. So when we are offering obeisances, we are offering obeisances to the super soul, who is residing in the body of that person, you know. So therefore, since everyone's body is the residence of the Supreme Lord, one should not destroy the body because of unnecessary envy. That will dissatisfy the super soul. Soma told the Prachetas that because they had tried to satisfy the super soul, now they should not displease him. So Soma is saying, before you did all these austerities, you were doing all this devotional service, you were trying to please God, and now you don't displease him. Don't displease him by what? By being
envious
and angry.
angry.
Yeah, that's right. Angry, anger, you know. Sometimes we get so much into that emotion of anger that I don't know if you all have had experience, at least I've had, that, you know, then you really regret, oh, why did I say this, or why do I do it, you know? That getting into that moment. So, ya samutpatitam deha
Samutpatitam deha
akashan manyum ulbanam
akasham manyur ulbanam
atma jigyasaya yachet
atma jigyasaya yachet
sagunan ativartate.
sagunan ativartate.
One who inquires into self-realization and thus subdues his powerful anger, which awakens suddenly in the body, as if falling from the sky, transcends the influence of the modes of material nature. When one becomes angry, he forgets himself and his situation. But if one is able to consider his situation by knowledge, one transcends the influence of the modes of material nature. So Prabhupada is saying, try to understand the situation by knowledge. Here Soma is saying, one who is on the path of self-realization, who controls his anger. This anger awakens suddenly. And if you can control the anger, then one can rise above the modes. So one is always a servant of lusty desires, anger, greed, illusion, envy, and so forth. But if one obtains sufficient strength in spiritual advancement, one can control them. So anger, Krishna speaks about anger in the Bhagavad Gita, that why does one get angry? Because of our lust. When our desires are not fulfilled, we become angry. And when they are fulfilled, we become greedy. So that's why Krishna says, give up this lust, anger, and greed. They are the gateways to hell. And then this desires come in the heart. How? Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that by contemplation on the object of the sense. We keep thinking of something. We think about it, then we get attached to it. Then we get attached, then our desire becomes strong. No, I must have it. We start having that emotional connection with that desire. Then we are not able to stop it. So get sufficient strength in spiritual advancement. One who obtains such control will always be transcendentally situated, untouched by the modes of material nature. So spiritual strength we can get by chanting, by hearing, by associating with the devotees. This is only possible when one fully engages in the service of the Lord, as the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 14.26, Mam cha yo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the spiritual platform. So Krishna is speaking about the pure devotee. The pure devotee is liberated. He's saying one who is engaged in full devotional service. Means his consciousness is purified now. He has no more material desire. His only desire is to please Krishna. So then he rises above the modes of nature. No more goodness, passion, ignorance. He's beyond it. So he is on the Brahma-bhuta platform. He's liberated. By engaging one in devotional service, the Krishna consciousness movement keeps one always transcendental to anger, greed, lust, envy, and so forth. One must perform devotional service because otherwise one will become victimized by the modes of material nature. So we have to keep doing something. The soul is always active. Our mind always has to be engaged. So Prabhupada is giving a practical example. He's saying practically how to do. He's saying engage yourself in devotional service. Come to the transcendental platform. Otherwise, you will be in the modes of nature. Yeah? So always being engaged in Krishna consciousness, doing service for Krishna. Then one can rise above the modes. Yeah. Did anyone want to add or comment anything? Sure. Okay. So we'll continue reading. Alam dagder drumer dine.
Alam dagde drume dine.
Khilanam shivam astuvam.
Khilanam shivam astuva.
Vakshi hi esha varakanya.
Vakshi esha varakanya.
Patnitve pratigrayata.
Patnitve pratigrayata.
There's no need to burn these poor trees any longer. Let whatever trees still remain be happy. Indeed, you should also be happy. Now here is a beautiful, well-qualified girl named Marisha, who was raised by the trees as their daughter. You may accept this beautiful girl as your wife. So here the moon god, he's giving good counsel. So it's good to have good friends who can give us good advice. Yeah, like how Dhruv Maharaj had gotten carried away also. He was killing the yakshas, got carried away by the anger. Then I forget who came to give him good advice. Was it Manu or was it Lord Brahma who was telling him, oh, give up your anger now. You've killed enough yakshas. You've already, So get advice from devotees. Iti amantriya vararoha.
Iti amantriya vararoha.
Kanyam apsarasim nripa.
Kanyam apsarasim nripa.
Somo raja yayadatva.
Somo raja yayodatva.
Te dharmenopaye mire.
Te dharmeno paye mire.
Sukdev Goswami continued, my dear king, after thus pacifying the Prachetas, Soma, the king of the moon, gave them the beautiful girl born of Brahmalocha Apsara. The Prachetas all received Brahmalocha's daughter, who had high, very beautiful hips, and married her according to the religious system. So that it had been predicted to them, no? I forget who told them. Was it the Lord himself who told them, or somebody had told them that the trees will give you the daughter of Brahmalocha? We read that in the 4th canto. Tebhyas tasyam sambhavat.
Tebhyas tasyam sambhavat.
Dakṣa prachetasa kila.
Dakṣa prachetasa kila.
Yasya praja visargena.
Yasya praja visargena.
Loka apuritastraya.
Loka apuritastraya.
In the womb of that girl, the Prachetas all begot a son named Dakṣa, who filled the three worlds with living entities. Dakṣa was first born during the reign of Swayambhuva Manu. But because of offending Lord Shiva, he was punished by having the head of a goat substituted for his own head. Thus insulted, he had to give up that body. And in the 6th Manvantar, called the Chakshusha Manvantar, he was born of the womb of Marisha as Daksh. In this connection, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes this verse. So Daksh, we read in the 4th canto how he offended Lord Shiva. Then Sati committed suicide. Then there was a fight between the followers of Lord Shiva and Daksh. Then Daksh's head gets cut off. Then they give him the head of a goat. And then he's too ashamed, so he gives that up. And then now he's born again. So in Swayambhuva Manvantar that happened. And this is now in Chakshusha Manvantar, 6th Manvantar. So right now we are in the 7th Manvantar, in the reign of the 7th Manu, Vaivasta Manu. Chakshushe tva antare prapte.
Chakshushe tva antare prapte.
Praksarge kala vidrute.
Praksarge kala vidrute.
Yasasarja praja ishta.
Yasasarja praja ishta.
Sadaksho deva chodita.
Sadaksho deva chodita.
His previous body had been destroyed, but he, the same Daksh, inspired by the Supreme Will, created all the desired living entities in the Chakshusha Manvantar. Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 30, Text 49. Thus, Daksh regained his previous opulence and again begot thousands and millions of children to fill the three worlds, because he was a Prajāpati after all. He was created to populate the universe. Earlier, he was the son of Brahma, then he gave up his life, and now he's born, and he's continuing his work of populating the universe. Yatha sasarja bhutani.
Yatha sasarja bhutani.
Daksho duhitir vatsala.
Daksho duhitir vatsala.
Retasa manasa cheva.
Retasa manasa cheva.
Tan mama vahita shrinu.
Tan mama vahita shrinu.
Sukdev Goswami continued, please hear from me with great attention how Prajāpati Daksh, who was very affectionate to his daughters, created different types of living entities through his semen and through his mind. The word Duhitir Vatsala indicates that all the Prajas were born from Daksha's daughters. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that apparently Daksh had no son. So it seems through his daughters. Manase vasrajat purvam.
Manase vasrajat purvam.
Prajapatir ima praja.
Prajapati ima praja.
Dev asura manusyadin.
Dev asura manusyadin.
Nabastala jalaukasha.
Nabastala jalaukasa.
With his mind, Prajapati Daksh first created all kinds of demigods, demons, human beings, birds, beasts, aquatics, and so on. So with his mind he's created. Tam abrammitam alokya.
Tam abramhitam alokya.
Praja sargam prajapati.
Praja sargam prajapati.
Vindhya padan upavrajya.
Vindhya padan upavrajya.
Socharat dushkaram tapa.
Socharat dushkaram tapa.
But when Prajāpati Dakṣa saw that he was not properly generating all kinds of living entities, he approached a mountain near the Vindhya mountain range, and there he executed very difficult austerities. So he was creating, but he felt it's not good enough. So then he does austerities. Tatra ghamaršanam nama
Tatra ghamaršanam nama
tirtham papaharam param
Titham papaharam param
upasprishyano savanam
Upasprisyanustavanam
tapasato shayadharim.
Tapasato sayadharim.
Near that mountain was a very holy place named Aghamarshana. There Prajapati Daksh executed ritualistic ceremonies and satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari by engaging in great austerities to please him. So he is doing austerities to please Lord Vishnu. Astav Shiddham Haṁsa-guhyena
Asto Shiddham Saguyena
Bhagavantam Adhokshajam
Bhagavantam Aduksajam
Tubhyam Tad Abhidasyami
Tubhyam Tad Abhidasami
Kasya Tushyad Yatha Hari.
Kashyatusyad Yathahari.
My dear King, I shall fully explain to you the Haṁsa-guhya prayers, which were offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead by Daksh. And I shall explain how the Lord was pleased with him for those prayers. It is to be understood that the Haṁsa-guhya prayers were not composed by Daksh, but were existing in the Vedic literature. So Sukadev Goswami is telling to Parikshit Maharaj that I'm going to tell you the Haṁsa-guhya prayers. So Daksh has not made up these prayers, but he's speaking from the Vedas for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Shri Prajāpati Uvacha
Shri Prajāpati Uvacha
Nama Paraya Vitanabh Nubhutaye
Nama Paraya Vitadhanubhutaye
Gunatraya Bhasanimitta Bandhave
Gunatraya Bhasa Nimitta Bandhave
Adrishtadhamne Gunatattva Buddhibhir
Adrishtadhamne Gunatattva Buddhibhi
Nivrittamanaya Dade Swayam Bhuve.
Nivrittamanaya Dade Swayambhuve.
Prajapati Daksha said the Supreme Personality of Godhead is transcendental to the illusory energy and the physical categories it produces. He possesses the potency for unfailing knowledge and supreme willpower. And he is the controller of the living entities and the illusory energy. The conditioned souls who have accepted this material manifestation as everything cannot see him, for he is above the evidence of experimental knowledge, self-evident and self-sufficient. He is not caused by any superior cause. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So he is offering obeisances to the Supreme Lord, understanding the position of the Supreme Lord. The transcendental position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is explained herewith. You can see transcendental. Position of God is transcendental. Here, the Haṁsa-guhya prayers are saying he's transcendental to the illusory energy. So God can never come under Maya. God is he's the owner of this illusory energy. He cannot be overcome by it. He has this omnipotencies. We say God is omnipotent. So he has all these multi-potencies. The spiritual potency, the material potency, the marginal potency. He is not perceivable by the conditioned souls who are accustomed to material vision and cannot understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead exists in his abode, which is beyond that vision. You know, if we say, oh, I want to see the germs that are flying around me. If I can't see them, I don't believe in them. But if we bring a proper lens in front of us, we will be able to see those germs flying around us. So a proper lens is needed for everything. Similarly, we say, oh, I want to see God, I want to see God. But we have to purify our consciousness to be able to see God. How we can see God with our material consciousness? He is transcendental. How we can understand him with our material consciousness? So we have to purify our consciousness to be able to understand God. And that purification happens by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Then we will be able to understand God. Even if a materialistic person could count all the atoms in the universe, he would still be unable to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's so difficult to count the atoms. And now to count the atoms, so one may be able to count all the atoms in the universe, but if one is not a devotee, he will not be able to understand God. As confirmed in Brahma Samhita 534, Pantastu Koti Shata Vatsara Sampragamyo Vayor Athapi Manaso Muni Pungavanam Sopi Asti Yat Prapadas Avijintya Tatve Govindam Adipurusham Tam Aham Bhajami. The conditioned souls may try to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead for many billions of years through their mental speculative processes, traveling at the speed of the mind or the wind, but still the absolute truth will remain inconceivable to them because a materialistic person cannot measure the length and breadth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's unlimited existence. So if just by using our mental speculation, our material mind, if we try to understand God with our material mind, we will not be able to understand him. He is transcendental. How with our material thoughts will we be able to understand? With our material intelligence, how can we understand? If the absolute truth is beyond measurement, one may ask, how can one realize him? So then one may ask, okay, then how can I know God? Please tell me. The answer is given here by the word Swayambhuve. One may understand him or not, but nevertheless, he is existing in his own spiritual potency. So one may believe God exists or not, but that does not affect the existence of God. Because one may say, oh, well, I don't believe God exists. It doesn't mean he doesn't exist. You know, he's still existing. One may believe that there is no creator behind this universe, but it doesn't mean that there is no creator. Our belief has nothing to do with the truth. The truth exists as it is. God exists in his own glory. So we can understand God by his devotees, from the Mahajans, from the Acharyas, who understand him. And so they are revealing to us to him, revealing him to us. They are showing us. They are telling us the qualities of God. They are telling us how he looks. Yeah? Because they have seen God. One who has seen the truth can tell the truth to us. Somebody there are two friends, one is in the village, one has gone to America. So the villager may try to think by his mind, oh, America may be like this, maybe like that. But when the friend who's been there and comes back and tells him, oh, it's like this, it's like that, this is what they eat, this is what they wear, this is how they speak, then that's authorized knowledge. No need for mental speculation. Same about God. Lord Brahma, he's seeing Krishna, so he's speaking to us about him. Narad Muni, he's seeing Krishna, so he tells us about him. Lord Shiva, he sees Krishna, so he tells us about him. So following in the footsteps of the Mahajans. We'll stop here for today. Any questions, comments?
No, all good. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's so good, no? I mean, the first
Yes,
verse itself, understanding
yes,
the position of God that is above Maya. He is
yes.
transcendental to Maya. You know, he is omnipotent. He is the one who's controlling all the living entities and illusory energy. And because we are in illusion, we are not able to see him. But Dakṣa is saying, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him. He is not caused by any superior cause. One may say, who has created God? No, God exists. That's the meaning of God. He's the origin of everything, of everyone. No one is
Yes.
equal to or greater than him. What we can do is offer our respectful obeisances to him, surrender to him. Thank you
And
so
it is so
much.
peaceful. And it is so
Peaceful.
peaceful. Yes, it's very peaceful.
Mm.
That is why you love more. That is why you feel like surrendering there more, you know. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta